All right, everyone on the live stream, can you hear me? Can someone write in the chat? Let me know you can hear me. Test 1, 2.
This is Billy. Billy, this is Josh with the
Hi.
Northeast Shadow.
Oh, hi.
Local library.
Yeah. Yeah.
Linda, can you hear me now?
Josh. Okay. Who's Josh?
Linda, can you hear me now? Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test, test, test. Okay, great. Thank you. Test 1, 2, 1. Okay. Thank you, everyone. All right, everyone, we're going to get started. All right, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you're still filling out the survey, go ahead and keep doing it on that. Thank you very much. If you're wondering, we're about to do our annual retreat where we get together once a year, plan for what the board's going to be doing over the next year, 2, 3, 4 years. The last big retreat we had like this was 2 years ago before everything kind of got started up again. It's kind of why we do these retreats. So all of your information, all the feedback you're giving us is going to help us go in the direction that you guys want us to go, because we are just 8 or 9 neighbors kind of just giving our time and doing the best we can. So your input's really helpful. We're going to have a couple different speakers coming up, but first I want to introduce the board and have them tell you everything that we're doing. If you've been here for a while, you know that we've been working the past 2 years to build this back up. We have a lot of great events like the summer social, like the Halloween parade that's coming up. We're doing a lot more as well. So we'll start off with Stefan here.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead and talk it up.
Okay. Hello. I'm still Stefan. I'm events co-chairman with Billy right there. We were in charge, I guess, of putting on the different events like the summer social, which I hope you guys all came to. I hope you come to next year's as well and every year ongoing. Also the Halloween parade, which is this Saturday at the park at 3 o'clock will start. Parade starts at 3:30, which should be awesome. And then Billy is the man who's put on all the movie events over the last couple years. Quick thing, do you want more events to happen? You do? Great. You should join and make sure they happen because we need more volunteers. So not to put you on the spot, everyone, but we always would love more volunteers and more help. And let's keep making Maple Leaf the most awesome neighborhood in the city. Right. Like I said, it's next Saturday, the 26th, because I don't know what day it is. So October 26th is the Halloween parade. Cancel your calendar events. 26th. That's when it is. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm the treasurer. I'm in charge of keeping our nonprofit status live. I also help with sponsorships and organizing our donations. Thanks.
Awesome job.
Stand a little closer to that.
Here, right here.
Yeah, right there's great. Just so they can see on camera.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Dakota Bergerhoff. You may remember me from a couple of community meetings ago when we ran a panel on the One Seattle plan. I'm the chair of the advocacy committee on the council. So basically that means that I'm driving things having to do with transportation and land use, housing policy, things like that. So if you're passionate about housing policy and transportation and figuring out how to make this a better neighborhood for everybody, join my committee and help me out with that. There is information up at the desk about the One Seattle draft zoning plans. Those just released earlier today. So if you're interested in looking at the city's website, at the actual zoning maps, they're not approved yet. There's lots of public comment coming up. That's also going to be on these QR codes over here if you want to learn more about that. So make sure you get involved. If you have opinions and direction you'd like the city to go on housing policy, make sure to check that out. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rylan Kasky, and I'm the secretary for the community council. Just help with all kinds of optimization tasks across all committees.
The microphone in here is not working, unfortunately. We tried to make that happen, but
So
yeah.
I'll try to speak up a little
Talk
bit.
louder. This
So
is
I'm
for the people.
Rylan, and I'm the secretary at the community council. We always need more board members to jump on board, help out with all kinds of the great activities that we have going on in the Maple Leaf Community Council, and put on more, try to add to the roster of the folks putting all these great events together, and would love for you to come and join us. So nice to meet you all.
Thank you. And, oh, sorry, Rebecca, why don't you get up here?
Okay. Thank you. I'll try to speak loud. So my name is Rebecca Letwin. Tara and I are the outreach committee, along with Danielle, who's not here. She's on a work trip. We put on this event. So twice a year, we'll do a general meeting, and we try to make it relevant to the community, bring in businesses or organizations that may be of interest to you. Previously, we did a panel on the One Seattle plan, so something very informative. And we would love to do more events. We did a real fun social event with a raffle and getting to know our neighbors kind of event at Project 9. We're probably going to do it at a new location this year just to kind of spread the wealth around the neighborhood. But if you want to get involved in anything related to outreach and bringing the community together, please talk to myself or Tara tonight. And we'd love to have you. We meet once a month for about an hour. So it's not a huge time commitment. And we love your fresh ideas and enthusiasm. In fact, we have a new board member who's going to be starting a silent book club that's going to meet monthly in Maple Leaf. So more details about that to come. Thank you all for coming tonight. Okay.
Awesome. Can you give all a big round of applause? They all joined in the past year. And they've done all of this. So if you're interested in joining, we're trying to double our board size so that we can do everything that you all want us to do and more. As we said, there's a silent book club. Billy just today told us about another thing he's trying to spin up with a local business for movies that we can have regularly. So yeah, thank you all very much, and we will get started. What's next? Awesome. Dakota. Yep, you're first.
I guess I kind of already said my piece, but
Yeah, say it
I'll bring
again.
it again. Yeah.
Again, we'll pass it out.
Okay, so I know I just said this, but the One Seattle Plan draft zoning maps just released earlier today. I haven't read them yet, so I can't tell you a ton of what's in them. This is a quick blurb that I got off the internet. You can also read that here, or you can take a picture up here. There's also, if you, okay, yeah, the header's down here, so it'll be on the next slide, I guess. But tomorrow, the Complete Communities Coalition, which is a Seattle organization, is holding a virtual Zoom outreach meeting where they're going to tell you all about what's in the draft zoning maps, where you can go for public comment, where you can go for outreach, where to make your voice heard with the city. So I encourage you to sign up for their Zoom outreach meeting and learn more about what's in these draft zoning maps so that you can be informed and give your opinion to the city about which direction you want that to go. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Speak loud. If you're having trouble hearing, I'm so sorry. We usually have microphones, but they're giving us tech issues. Just come right forward. Yeah,
I'll just hold it.
hopefully
I'll just hold it. That's
try to talk loud here, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll speak up.
Okay.
I can
awesome.
project.
Thank you.
All right. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Great. My name's Josh Epstein. I'll just start by saying some personal things about myself. All these clothes are secondhand, and my haircut was cut by my wife, and my Netflix subscription is stolen from my mother. And I want you to know all these things because I'm pretty cheap. And that's why I work for Seattle Reconomy, and we run the tool libraries. So I'm going to tell you all about that. Can you raise your hands if you're familiar with the tool library? That is amazing. I don't need to do this. This is great. Who's been into the tool library? Okay, less hands. Great. Then I will try to convince everybody else to come in. So yeah, if you could go ahead and skip. So this is the main problem that we're tackling at the tool library. So we're a nonprofit, a 501c3. We're in your neighborhood. I'll tell you where we are later and how you can get involved. But the problem that you probably know is that there is no way when we throw things away. And so we want to save people money, we want to save people space, and we want to help save the environment. And so we do that by loaning tools. That's our main thing. But we have a lot of other stuff I'll get into. So go ahead. Is anybody familiar with this term circular economy? Kind of a new buzzword, kind of taken over for sustainability, basically. So this is the world that we function in. And we actually we're a reconomy. So what we're trying to do is shift capitalism and balance it out with alternative economies. So the circular economy is a main part of that. Instead of having things be created, used, packaged, shipped, and then used once and then thrown away, we're trying to keep things in circulation. And that can be through giving, it can be through sharing, reciprocation, and just general community spirit. So go ahead. So here's a quick history about what we are. Is anybody familiar with this building? If you've been to our library, then you definitely are. This is the La Villa Dairy. very close to here, just down the hill. It's on just off of Lake City on Fisher Place. You all know that little turn, Fisher Place. It's a very cool old building. It was actually the old dairy from the area. It was the only building around. We're towards the back on the bottom floor. We have about 2,300 square feet of space that we jam with over 7,000 tools. And we moved there in 2018. We used to be by Dahl Playfield, just south of there. Had a free space, but it was a really cramped little church, and got kicked out of there, which was actually a blessing in disguise. We were able to move to this much nicer spot. And that was, so it started, the tool library started because of this really generous grant from Cleanscapes, which has now become Recology. We got our new location, been thriving there. Just this last year, we changed our name from Sustainable Northeast Seattle, which you may have heard of, to Seattle Reconomy. And that was partly because we had expanded from just Northeast Seattle, and because we were more than just sustainability, that word has gotten a little bit greenwashed. And so we've moved to Reconomy as this alternative economy. We got some really generous grants this year and started our Shoreline branch, and that has offered us extra space so we can serve more communities, but also now we do reused building supplies that we sell there, kind of a small second use kind of place. All right. There's the hours. There are the addresses, websites. Hours do change a bit, so it's always worth checking online. We have winter hours, summer hours. Sometimes things come up, we're short-staffed. We're a very small nonprofit. We have 6 staff, but we actually have 200 volunteers that are engaged throughout the year. And so we're pretty scrappy. Things change a lot, so check the website. Yep. I'm assuming everybody's from this area. Nobody's from Shoreline, correct? Great. Okay. This is what we do. Between the two tool libraries, we have over 10,000 tools. And as you can see there, what a tool can be different. What we just think of a tool as something that helps somebody do something. So this ranges from what you might expect, power saws and drills and drivers, to board games, puzzles. My son donated some of his toys, and we started the Abracadabra Toy Library, which is extremely cute. We also have pressure washers. That's probably our biggest ticket item. We have a lot of people join the library just for pressure washers. Carpet cleaners is another big one. We have party tents. We have chafing dishes and plates and dishes. People get married and use all of our equipment, so they don't have to go rent all that stuff. 10,000 tools means we try to do everything that you don't need all the time. You only need a couple times a year. So a lot of people have donated their lawnmower to us so that they can just come back the 4 times they need it a year, right? Instead of storing it. We also do classes. You can find those online. Everything from using that workshop where we have some really beautiful woodworking tools to sewing classes. We're doing, in the Shoreline space, we're doing a reused materials turned into Christmas ornaments for kids. That's coming up soon. The workshop space is a really nice aspect. If you don't have the tools or you don't have the know-how, you can take an orientation with us and then use our really nice woodworking tools there. Our best tools we reserve for that space. And we have these volunteer workshop stewards that will work with you and teach you how to do it. We have monthly fix-it nights up at Shoreline. We're trying to get them in Northeast Seattle, but there's a lack of the right kind of volunteer. So we're working on that. But if anybody's a fixer and likes to tinker, we've got some things to tinker on. Yeah, I told you about the reused building supplies. That's everything from light bulbs to tools that we're actually selling to bicycles and lumber. We've got a seed library at both libraries. This is pretty fun. It's literally just free seeds. Bring in seeds that you're not using. Take any seeds you want. We always have a ton of seeds. And then our bike shacks. So both libraries have a community bike shop where you can come in, work with a volunteer, learn how to use the tools, fix your own bike, all on optional donation. And yeah, we have advice and tools and tool demos. Cool. So this is what we're hoping we can do with this. We want to help people reduce their consumption. We want to help build community, start up a new hobby, or pick up an old hobby that you're doing. Fix up your house, your car, whatever it is. And we have a lot of students come in, use the space for school projects. So at this point, a lot of people usually have questions like, how much does it cost? What are the basics of it? And so, well, we'll get into that. We'll get into some more detail. So it's on a sliding scale. I think this is the best part. This is what the Reconomy is. It's all on a sliding scale. It's all optional, which means that you only pay if you find value in it. But if you value what we're doing and you can afford it, then donate. But we have people that pay $0 and we have people that pay $2,000 a year. The average is about $60 for the whole year, which gets covered by one tool loan. And so, as you can see, it's a little bit complicated, but we have a general, public is 60. There's a dual membership for both libraries, student senior rates. The community supporter, that's if you want to pay for yours and somebody that can't afford it. Because we do have a good percentage of folks that just can't pay at all, but really need access to these tools. And it really balances out pretty well. So it ends up at that 60 range. And so really the key to our financial success is just inclusion. We have 3,300 members that pay anywhere in that spectrum. You might also wonder where we get all the tools. And these we just steal right from job sites. I'm just joking. These are also donated. And so, yeah, there's so many ways to get involved in this. There's becoming a member. There's donating your time. There's donating tools. If you've got that garage full of tools, you were a contractor, you were a hobbyist, and you can't use these anymore. You've downsized. Somebody passed away in your family. We can take all working tools that are not rusty and not gas powered. And sometimes taking tools for people is just as good as being able to lend out tools. That's a huge benefit that we can give. We do have a late fee, but it's really nominal, and we'll waive it all. Like it's 10 cents a day per tool, which sometimes people come in with $20 of late fees and you're like, wow, you've had this for like 3 years. Like, how did you get to that? But we'll just waive it. It's just really like, just trying to get the tools back and incentivize that besides just the guilt, that you can't sleep because you have that hammer. All right, go ahead. So we're doing all sorts of fun stuff too. This is a really exciting moment. We are growing our existing tool libraries, growing the inventory, growing our membership. We are helping new tool libraries around the country. We're working with the National Tool Library Alliance. So if you don't know, there's actually somewhere between 60 and 80 tool libraries in the country, probably more than that are just out of people's garages and more informal. But around the world, we think there's about at least 300 tool libraries. So it's a growing thing. So we're working with the other leading tool libraries in the nation to just help keep this movement going and growing. A really exciting thing we're working on is called the Reuse Commons. And this is a circular economy mall. So it's a shopping mall that we're designing out right now. We've gotten some funding from the Office of Economic Development, the Washington Department of Ecology, to create a mall, anywhere from 10 to 20 reuse and repair stores, all co-located in one spot. So it'd be a spot where you can go to get rid of and get everything you need sustainably. And we'd also have food and gathering space. So we're working on that. The Shoreline space is actually a bit of a pilot program for that. How am I on time? Because I can talk for a long time, but I won't because I think there's a lot other stuff to do. Yeah, great. Okay, then I'm going to pause. The rest of my presentation is actually more about the greater circular economy stuff, and I think that's not really pertinent to you. So I would like to just have a moment if there's any questions that anybody has about what we're doing or how to get involved. Yeah.
Do you have or want books about construction?
We have a few. We find that people don't use them anymore because of that computer thing. Yeah, so no, sorry. Yeah.
Do you publish a list of organizations, companies that will repair things? Because a huge problem
Yeah.
is our stuff can't get.
Yeah, it is something we are working on. We have a resources page that has a little bit of that. And if you have suggestions, we can add it to that. We also, on that resources page, has a list of like handy people and contractors. But that is something that absolutely needs to be built out. And we work with Repair Reuse Washington, which is another nonprofit in the circular economy that is more tapped into the repair world of things. Yeah. Yep.
I see it on Facebook quite a bit now.
Yeah.
Does that have the actual address on Facebook?
Yes.
And you said that you take donations.
Yes.
You take donations of light bulbs?
Not at the moment. No, sorry. Yeah.
Are you aware then of the regular repairs that they do at the Ace Hardware up on Big Ridge?
Yes. Yes. The Fix It Nights. Yes. So some of those same folks actually help us at our Fixer Nights, third Wednesday. Yep. Wayne Daly. Totally. Yeah. So we have a very similar one, third Wednesday of every month at our Shoreline location. And we'd like to start a similar regular one here at Northeast. Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions? Yeah. Yeah, online, jump on our website. So our website is seattlereconomy.org. But if you just search Northeast Seattle Tool Library, we'll come up. And yes, you can find the inventory. We've been around for 12 years now. And we've had mostly volunteer run inventorying. And so the inventory is about 85% correct. So it's always worth emailing or calling, or just come by and check. But fair warning, it might not be there, or it might not be that exact same tool. Great. So I guess I'll just leave you with, I'd really recommend, this is a resource for you all. We're trying to make it extremely affordable. We just want you to not have to buy things that you're not going to use very often. So I really recommend, you can't get a sense for it until you come and actually check it out. I'll leave some business cards up on the table, and feel free to reach out, or if you have other ideas, you want to get involved, you want to volunteer, we want you to be part of the community. So I appreciate you letting me talk to you. Thank you all.
Yes, I have been renovating my house with my partner for the last 4 years, and we've bought only 2 tools that entire time because we've been members of the library the entire time. So it's been a huge success. I also have been guilty of not returning things on time, and that guilt is real, but they do waive the fees. It's really nice. We're going to have Kelsey, yes, come up next from the University of Washington.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me in the back? Yes? Fantastic. If at any point my voice lowers, please just let me know and I will speak loudly again. My name is Kelsey Johnson. I am the nurse manager at the University of Washington Medical Center Northwest campus, so just north of here by North Gate. We are in a really exciting chapter on that campus. We are growing and evolving, and we have just finished building and starting to populate our Center for Behavioral Health and Learning. And so I'm here today. I'm very, very thankful and honored to be able to represent the University of Washington. And as a recent or newer member to this community, it's really fun to be here. I will be fully transparent. My husband and I moved here. Technically, I think we're Wedgwood, but thank you for opening your doors and letting me come and speak today. So I have a video here. It's about 3.5 minutes, but I think it's a really nice, comprehensive way to see what the Center for Behavioral Health and Learning looks like. And then definitely want to talk a little bit more about the units themselves, the services that we're providing, and the impact that it has on our community. And so without further ado, I'll pause for a moment and get to show you. This video is not published yet. I was able to peel it and pry it from the hands of folks. They're going to be putting this on the University of Washington Medical Center Northwest website, but just for, I think, maybe recording purposes, we'll put, well, it's okay if it is, but just please don't widely distribute. It's coming very soon. You're just getting a preview.
Hi, I'm Molly Forrester, Director of Patient and Family Experience in the UW Medicine Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences. Having a loved one with a serious mental health condition can be really hard at times. So we made this short video to help family members and caregivers like you understand what to expect when your loved one is in our care. The Center for Behavioral Health and Learning is located on the UW Medical Center Northwest campus, just north of downtown Seattle in a wooded and serene setting. The center provides mental health care for adults who may benefit from a longer-term involuntary hospitalization. It includes a geriatric psychiatry unit specializing in care for older adults, and a neuromodulation clinic to help people with more difficult to treat mental health conditions. The building features artwork that reflects the beauty of the Pacific Northwest and has lots of large windows and bright open spaces to support health and well-being. The center includes private and shared patient rooms, all with large windows to allow in lots of natural light. Some rooms even have a wall of blackboard paint that can be used for artistic expression or to exchange messages with the treatment team. And if your loved one needs medical care during their time with us, we have specialized medical units in the same building so we can provide all the care they need in one place. Every aspect of the center was designed to promote healing and prioritize safety, including centrally located staff workspaces and open floor plans so staff are available to help at a moment's notice.
Can you tell me what got
During their stay, your loved one will be cared for by a team of healthcare professionals, including psychiatrists, psychologists, nurses, social workers, therapists, and many others. A typical day may include time in individual therapy, education and recovery groups, or working on hospital discharge plans. While with us, they will have access to several enclosed outdoor spaces, including a therapeutic garden terrace that offers fresh air, views of the campus, and space for exercise. They may also spend time in large common rooms where they can relax, eat meals, and socialize. And when you visit, there are spaces where you can talk with your loved one's treatment team or take a moment for yourself in our reflection room, a quiet space for peace and calm. And while our hospital team is caring for your loved one, we invite you to explore the Family and Caregiver Training and Support Program, which provides mental health education, resources, and information just for you. We recognize the important role you play in your loved one's life and hope our program is helpful to you and your loved one on your path to healing.
Excellent. Well, that was really fun to share. I spend a lot of my life in that building, and it's really fun to be able to share and support those that come through our doors. Those last slides had a lot of information and whizzed by, so I just want to break that down a little bit for shared awareness of who we're supporting, the cares that we're providing, and again, the impact that that has on our community. So I have lived in Seattle for 10 years now, just came up on the 10-year anniversary of many things, but working in psych and behavioral health for a decade now. And this particular campus, the Northwest campus, I've been there for just over 2 years in varying capacities, working on the floor as a registered nurse, and then transitioning to the nurse manager for the geriatric psychiatric unit. And what's really exciting is having come from what was a pretty rundown skilled nursing unit to this beautiful space that you can see with intentionality and a purpose that is meant for a therapeutic and safe space for all. I couldn't dream of anything else. Oftentimes mental health and psych kind of gets pushed into the back corner, is stigmatized. And again, this building is at the heart of our campus on the Northwest Center. There was just some highlights of the intention and the design. Our new beautiful open space with tons of light cafeteria, and our kitchen is now on the first floor. So when you walk onto the campus and you grab your lunch, you are walking into the Center for Behavioral Health and Learning. And in that vein, kind of opening our doors to the conversations around everyone's mental health and wellness, and looking at treating the person as a whole. There are, as noted on this slide, many different levels in the facility. I like to give a little shout out that my floor is on the penthouse. We're on the 6th floor, and we absolutely get the best view. We can see the skyline from one of our windows, Rainier on a clear day, although we haven't had many of those recently. We can see the Olympics and the Cascades, and it can be tremendously beneficial for folks to look out, to reminisce, to talk about nature. My census up on that floor is 36. So we're caring for 36 patients that are 65 and older, that are dealing with cognitive decline, maybe early onset dementia, as well as behavioral health considerations, psychosis, depression, maybe they're experiencing suicidality. And so we can care for them as well as meet the medical needs that come with older age. Below us on the 5th and the 4th floor are our long-term civil commitment beds. So this is really exciting. These beds did not exist in our community at all. We have added 75 beds to support some folks that really need long-term stabilization and hospitalization so that they can safely reintegrate back into the community. Many of these individuals are coming to us from Harborview, our partners in the University of Washington Medical Center organization, as well as Western State Hospital. We have also been able to accept some patients that are appropriate fit even from as far as Eastern Washington, recognizing that we support therapies that don't exist in certain areas of our state. Long-term civil commitment is a really long way of saying it's a specific hold through the King County court system, saying that a court, a judge, and those that represent the individual have determined that they will be involuntarily detained beyond their initial kind of treatment court holding. Typically, this can go upwards of 90 to 180-day holds. And again, that can be continued based on the individual's care needs. So again, 75 beds that essentially have been filled in Western State, as we know, which is going through a lot of challenges of its own. Forensic patients, those that have more criminal backgrounds, are remaining primarily at Western State, but we are taking patients that have been there, as well as Harborview. What else is really exciting is I actually come from a freestanding psych hospital, and I can't tell you how many patients were there with us for such a long time. And our programming was not designed to care for patients for a long period of time. And it ended up clogging beds. We see individuals, or maybe you've experienced loved ones, friends, someone who's in acute crisis. They need support now, and there are no beds available in the community. These 75 beds opening allows people that need longer term to come and be in those beds, and then frees up beds in the community for those that need that support. Below 4 and 5, the long-term civil commitment is our medical surgical extend unit. So folks that have medical considerations, but also often have concurrent diagnoses of psychosis, depression, and that maybe because of their medical condition, elsewhere wouldn't be able to, they'd either kind of be one or the other, right? They have the medical component and they have the psych behavioral health needs. And so we can, again, treat the whole person without any limitation. So that is 50 beds. Our medical surgical extend unit is always full. Those 50 beds fill up really fast. On the Northwest campus, that unit used to have, gosh, I think in 2020, it was like 20 something beds. So it's really exciting to see that grow upwards to 50. And so really helps with the flow of our campus, especially within our ED, getting folks placed and getting the beds that they need. And then on the first floor, in addition to the cafeteria, as noted, we also have the neuromodulation clinic, which does ECT and TMS, transcranial magnetic treatment. And these are outpatient procedures. So folks can come in, receive the care, the procedure that they need. This often is to help support those that medicine isn't working, other treatments haven't been successful. And for those living with severe depression, this can be life altering. We do also have some folks that are with us for long enough that they actually qualify for ECT while inpatient, and then we can continue to support them in an outpatient capacity. And then there are many, many other programs, but as Molly noted in the video there, the FACTS program is a brand new initiative to look at the caregiver fatigue and supporting and providing resources for those that might be a son, a daughter, the primary caregiver, the husband, the wife of someone who is hospitalized, and being able to connect them with resources. So again, that will be public facing very shortly on the University of Washington Medical Center website. I think I have maybe 5-6 minutes, hopefully. I would love to hear your questions, and then just know I'll make sure to stay afterward if you have any more specific questions that you'd like to ask. I'm happy to connect with you. Great question. So for those that couldn't hear or are remote, asking about the bed count and are we seeing that that's matching the need in the community? Are there plans for future expansion? It feels like a drop in a pool sometimes, but I'm grateful that we have the footing and the start of something that the community so desperately needs. It's pretty amazing to see how quickly these beds have filled up. We have 150 inpatient beds, some of which transferred over, and then again, our census has expanded, or our bed counts expanded since moving into this new building. We are always full, and we're always screening patients that may be appropriate to come. And so we have a systemized process with the King County Crisis Connection to make sure that we're looking and considering various patients that would best fit in our unit. But in terms of future planning, I'm not sure of what's to come. I think what's really exciting about the Northwest campus is that there's room to grow and to expand. Montlake is a little landlocked, and they're, building and growing, I think, beyond the space and getting really creative. And then, of course, we partner with Harborview, but we shall see. I remain optimistic. Yeah, the question for where the campus is it's off Meridian and then 115th Street. So it's surrounded by cemeteries. I once had a patient look out the window and said, "Well, I can almost see into my future." As they looked out the window. It was a bit morbid, but it is beautiful. Yeah, there's several cemeteries, and then if you are heading down, Aurora Avenue, and you hit the Home Depot, you've gone too far north. So we're tucked right in there. It is where Northwest Hospital was. We did have to tear down a building. It was called the D Wing building, and so they did have to tear down some offices and space to build this building. There's some really lovely tributes in the building itself. For example, they repurposed in the video, you could see some of the outdoor seating, and there's a front lobby desk that's beautiful. They actually took a tree that they had to tear down. They repurposed it. Where's my repurpose guy? They reused it. And so there's these beautiful trees that are now desks and really beautiful benches. And so trying to honor, the space, the land that we've repurposed. Yes. Yes, through the University of Washington, we do not turn people away, and then we work with those that have more challenging socioeconomic considerations, constraints. They often are quickly partnered with case managers or those that will help with the payment options. So in a short-winded way of answering that, yes, we will, of course, make sure that everyone receives the care that they need. Wonderful. Well, thank you again. Oh, please, yes, one more question. Yeah, that's a great question. So around substance use disorder, we do have a lot of folks that come to us that have a history of substance use. And so we often will look at connecting them, like if it's something that's in their history or something recent, like if someone's actively detoxing, they will be in our emergency department and likely will go to a specific substance use. But if it's in their history, if it's something that someone wants to connect and get resources while they're hospitalized with us, we can start building and connecting them with the resources so that when they leave, there's opportunities for them to get situated in the community, maybe with an outpatient type program. I hope that answered your question.
All right.
All right,
And
thank
then
you.
I believe you said you're going to be around afterwards for more
Absolutely.
questions. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We got the next speaker coming up. We'll have them introduce themselves.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sarah Lawson. I am the Crime Prevention Coordinator for Seattle Police for Northeast Seattle. So in the North Precinct, fun fact for you, you guys are in our largest precinct. And if we were our own city, we would be the third largest in Washington. We are quite large. So there's actually two of me in the precinct. I work with a partner, Caitlin Yep, who handles Northwest Seattle. We split the precinct by I-5. So anything east of I-5, north of the Ship Canal, south of 145th is my jurisdiction. I've been in the department for about 2.5 years. Actually, it was 2.5 years on the 13th. Prior to this, I was a 911 operator, and I also worked with homeless youth and victims of sex trafficking. So come from a nice crime background. I was asked to come speak to you guys today about crime in the area and block watch and efforts you guys can do to keep yourselves safe. I talk very fast, and I'm only limited in the overtime. I was authorized to be here, so I want to speak fast and open it up for questions that I imagine there are a lot of questions about crime and policing in the city of Seattle right now. So starting off, what is block watch? When you think of block watch, you might think of neighborhood watch and pitchforks, flashlights, people going out patrolling a neighborhood. That is not what Seattle Police endorses. Block watch, as it is today, is simply just opening communication amongst your neighbors. We want to know who's in our neighborhood, who shouldn't be in our neighborhood, watching out for each other, and making a commitment not only to tell each other about the suspicious activity that we see or experience, but also the police. That's a big portion, as I can tell my neighbor Bob that my car got broken into, but in the eyes of the police, it never happened because they were never told. So it's very important to make sure you're reporting. Right now, reporting is difficult. I'm not going to lie. For those of you who've tried to call non-emergency, you probably sat there for quite a while. And those of you calling 911, you feel kind of odd and kind of, panicky. Oh my gosh, I'm calling 911. Oh my gosh. Take a deep breath. I want to empower everyone here to report any suspicious activity or anything where they're like, maybe somebody should know about this, but I'm not sure who. Call 911. That's what they're there for. Gone are the days you can only call when you're dead or dying. They're a great resource, and they are your first point of contact to anything amongst emergency services. And so to get in contact with police, fire, and medical, 911 needs to be your first point of contact. So think if it's in progress and it's happening right now, dial 911. While dialing 911 may not necessarily mean you're having an emergency based on their criteria, they will triage the call based on their own prioritization. And that way, okay, based on their prioritization, I am reporting a non-emergency. You might be transferred off the 911 line, but you're in a position to have your call answered. They are also experiencing short staffing. Another little known fact is 911 call centers, at least in city of Seattle, are no longer part of SPD. They are a separate entity. They are their own entity. So they have their own rules and policies. So we don't control what they do and how they triage calls. They just take our suggestions. So a lot of what's happening is we aren't getting a lot of the calls because they're stopping right at 911 because things aren't being expressed correctly. So make sure that you understand that you are the eyes and ears on the ground for 911. Do a mental triage of what you're reporting and kind of go from the biggest thing down to the littlest thing. An example of this is with our businesses, we have to coach, hey, when somebody shoplifts and they push an employee on the way out the door, that is now technically a strong armed robbery. The first words out of your mouth should say, hey, I just had somebody push an employee and they shoplift. Because as a call taker, my job is to take all the information you give me, and in 30 seconds of being on the line with you, once I have an address and a general idea of what's going on, is to enter a call to dispatch. And I want to make sure I prioritize it correctly. So you give me your big thing and then go from there. Take a deep breath. We're on the phone with them. Calling 911 in and of itself is anxiety inducing. I took the calls, and even when I had the call, I'm like, oh my God, my heart rate speeds up. My breath, I'm like, oh, what am I supposed to be doing? Take a deep breath. They will guide you through the conversation. If it seems like they're repeating themselves or asking you to repeat themselves, it's either that they have asked, an officer has asked for clarification, or they're making sure the situation hasn't changed while they're on the phone with you. You are not slowing things down by talking to 911, as the person on the phone is not the person coming. The person on the phone sends your call over to a dispatcher, and that dispatcher speaks to officers. It happens pretty instantaneously. It's a pretty smooth line of communication back and forth. And we make sure that as we're headed to you, we're getting more information so we can show up and handle the situation as effectively as possible. But if you stall things by telling them just get here, or being wishy-washy, or saying just track my phone, please don't tell people that. We can't track your phone. Knowing where you are, knowing what's happening, and being able to describe that to 911 can make sure that the call is classified properly and we get to you as fast as possible. That being said, it is no secret SPD is understaffed. We are at about 400 deployable officers right now for the entire city of Seattle across all watches, all hours, all precincts. You are being underserved. I'll just be honest with you. We are actively hiring if anyone's interested. Great benefit plan. It usually gets a laugh, but maybe not tonight. But it takes a while for an officer to go from application to training to being fully released as a little baby cop on the road. So it takes a while. We are hoping to see improvement, but right now we are understaffed most days. That does not mean that your calls aren't important and that you should worry about bothering us. Don't ever think about that. We work for you. You need to call us. If you care about it and you would like us to care about it, you need to tell us, making the commitment to call. Right now, we are matching the commitment of those who call and make reports to be able to contact them and make those reports. Yes, it might be 9 hours later. Yes, it might be a week later, but we try to match the commitment of those that are reporting that there has been a crime that has occurred. And if you don't tell us, it didn't happen in the eyes of the police. We are a very data-driven department. And if the data shows that this area is doing fine, we're not going to spare extra resources for emphasis patrols, or when we have new officers coming out on the street, we aren't able to say it's a good use of resources to have them in the area. Does that make sense to everybody? Perfect. So Blockwatch, it's super easy, and it can be as involved or as uninvolved as you want. Right here in Blockwatch, I think I have 182 Blockwatches that are currently registered. To register, it's super easy. You just email me, and my card's over here, and you just say the general area of your block is. So, it's this to here, to here, to here. You're the Blockwatch captain, which is just the point of contact. So that way I don't have 20 people from the same area saying, oh my gosh, Sarah, we have a problem. I have 20 people telling it to their captain, who then tells me who I can then. It's just a little bit easier for me to manage, as I am one person for the entire northeast of Seattle. And that's all it is, really. Once a year, we have National Night Out, which is on the first Tuesday of every year. I'm not sure if anyone here has participated, but if you have, we thank you. And it's really just a way to get to know your neighbors. But you can communicate to each other via email, via Slack, via text message, via pen pals, whatever works for you, but open up that communication with each other and with the police. That's the main point of Blockwatch. It's super easy. And actually, fun fact, in Seattle, Blockwatch started here in the North Precinct. So you guys are the OGs. So if you're not part of a Blockwatch, if you think it's going to be too much time and too much effort, it really can be super simple. It's just a way to be like, hey, oh, you got your car broken into? Todd, did you report that to the 911? No? Why don't you report that and then send the case number to everyone? That way we all can be on the lookout for each other. Oh, Todd got his car broken into. Well, Jerry over here has footage of that. Jerry can give Todd the footage so that we can have the footage to follow up on. It's all just about opening up that communication and just getting to know who is around you. I grew up in Florida in a bad part of town. If our neighbors weren't killing each other and we didn't smell something funny, we didn't get to know the neighbors. We don't encourage that anymore. We want you to get to know who is in and around your neighborhood, because when you don't know who's supposed to be there, you aren't able to call. You aren't able to say, that seems a little off. Maybe I should check with my neighbor to see, are they early out of town? Is somebody supposed to be there? Or maybe there's something I need to call and report. So that was a lot, and I already have one that's upset with me. Any questions? Yes.
Or what to do after it happens. For example, if somebody steals your car, it's good to have fresh pictures of your car, maybe put identifying stickers on your car, having your VIN license plate, and making sure you don't have passports or driver's license, which I know everyone does because it found it in my car. So I was just wondering, is there a resource that we could do to give to the council to do that? And then also basic things for if somebody breaks into your house, or if somebody comes up and violently hits you or something. All stuff that's happened very recently.
That's a great question. So the question was, yep. Yeah. The question was, if there is any kind of resource that says like, hey, you just had a crime happen, here are your next steps. And hey, you just had your house broken into, what do you do now? You just were violently attacked. What do you do now? There's no set kind of thing. One thing we offer in the city of Seattle is a personal safety class where we talk about if you are assaulted, what to do. We talk about reporting in a little bit more depth. We talk about how to make safety plans and how to kind of have those after action safety plans. One of the things that I think is the most important thing is, one, if after anything happens, are you safe? And if you're safe, if it happened last night, you came out to your car and it was broken, making sure that you report it. That's the biggest thing, because then you can get connected with an officer who can walk you through what the next steps are. Walk you through, okay, now go talk to your neighbors and see if they have any footage. Now make sure that you report this to your insurance company. Here's the case number for you to do so. Officers are able to do that, but the first step is making sure it is reported. For the lower kind of priority calls, like priority 3s, which are like, my car got broken into last night, my house got broken into last weekend when I was out of town, those are going to hold a while as we are prioritizing in progress life safety calls. However, you're going to get an officer to contact you. Another way is like, say you had your car broken into, you don't have any footage, you just want to clean up, you just want to make sure you have the case number for insurance purposes. We do have online reporting. It's a lot more user-friendly than it used to be, and you can make sure that you get a case number right away. The caveat to online reporting is it will not be followed up on. It is for documentation purposes only. We screen every online report that comes in to see if maybe, because people sometimes will be like, yeah, I was stabbed last night, and they'll try to report it online, and you're like, that's not what you should be using that for. So they're screened, but because online reporting is just for documentation, you're not going to be like 2 months later, we're not going to be like, we got the guy. It typically doesn't happen like that, but it's to make sure that we know what happened, you have the case number for your insurance, and that way you're not waiting on the phone all day for an officer or for an officer to call you or show up in person. So that's an easier way to do it. And as far as like what happens next, there are a lot of resources in terms of like victim advocates of like, okay, if you're experiencing trauma, if you're experiencing PTSD, because it can be very violating when you have your car broken into, your house broken into, to kind of help you through that. In terms of, and this, you can be proactive with it as well. One of the services I offer, it's completely free, is called a security assessment. So I can come to your house, your apartment, your business, your house of worship, your school, and basically I'm trained in what's called CPTED. So it's crime prevention through environmental design. So I look at the physical security in place, and I'm trained to make recommendations based on the best practices for crime prevention. So trim your bushes back, add better lighting, have better screws, reinforce your doors. A lot of it can seem very simple, and a lot of it does apply to a lot of different things, but sometimes spaces can be funky. Of like, what do I do about this weird door that everyone uses but isn't technically our front door? How do I make sure that this stays safe? How do I reinforce that? And I do that. My card is over there if you'd like to schedule with me. It takes about an hour. And it's one way to kind of be proactive in terms of making sure that your personal space stays safe, your business space stays safe. And even if you happens to be after the fact, it's just a lot easier to prepare before something happens than after. And typically when we call it target hardening. When you've hardened your target, you are less likely to be victimized because you're less of an easy target and you're more effort than perhaps the reward is going to be. Yes.
And as a follow-up to that, is there a list of those kind of recommendations for preventative or just a few measures that one can take?
I have some general recommendations that I can send in a flyer, and I can send it to Rebecca to send out to everyone if she's got your emails, or again, you can take my card on the table and I can send it to you direct. But sometimes it does help for me to look at a space, as not everything can work for every single space. But I understand sometimes schedules don't always allow for that. But there is one of me in every single precinct. So maybe if your business is in South Precinct and your granddad's house is in Southwest Precinct and you want to make sure he stays safe, there's one of me and I can connect you to whoever in the area that can help you, and it's for the entire city of Seattle. But yes, I can send over a general recommendations, but it usually helps to see the space. Yeah. Come on, I know I didn't cover it all.
Sarah has left a tremendous amount of resources over here about starting a block watch, a great magnet for your fridge, so she's got a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, the fridge magnet, if you've got kids, grandkids in your home, I would recommend having it on the fridge and having the address posted, as I've had a caller as young as 3 years old be able to call me and take his address off a piece of mail because mommy wasn't waking up. It happened to be a medical condition. It wasn't anything bad. We got her the help she needed, but it's never too late for your kids to learn about 911 and you start drilling it into them. I mean, I am 27. I was like, wait, what did I just turn? 27 years old. And I still remember every single address I've ever lived at because my mother drilled it into me. But we also did fire drills where I used to climb out the window and run to the tree. And I was the weird family that did fire drills in our house. So my mother was over prepared. We had to be, but it's important to make sure you're talking to your kids about safety. It's never too early to be able to start that conversation. Hear that guy with the baby? And he's gone. So I guess I didn't land. Any more questions? Wow, I'm usually like bombarded. Yes, I love weird questions. Yep. Not necessarily, no. So when you registered for the block watch, typically it'll say like, hey, like, did you want more information? And if you registered properly for the block watch, like to get the street permits, and you said like, yes, I want more information on block watch and crime prevention, we actually just sent out an email today saying like, I think we were advertising drug take back and the Seattle University public safety survey. And if you got that email, then you're technically on our contact list, but you may not be a registered block watch. It never hurts to just double check and just be like, hey, do you have me as a block watch or just like as a person of interest? If you didn't get that email, that's when you email me and you get on that contact list. So we don't keep maps because it came into the issue of public disclosure where some crazy dude came and was like, I want all your block watches and want to know other addresses. And we were like, so we had to go out to our captains and be like, so we can't tell them no, because everything I write down, even like sticky notes, are subject to public disclosure. So what we like to do is kind of keep it general, and we don't keep any active maps. So I don't have like every single address of being like, oh, that address is Joe's block watch. But if you think you have somebody that is already in place, just ask if they're getting regular emails about events and programs directly from, it'll be Sarah Lawson or Caitlin Yep. And if they aren't, then they might be registered through the SNAP program, which is the Seattle Neighborhood Action Plan. Oh, wow. God, that actually is impressive, guys. That's a long day. And that's a separate entity. So sometimes that people will register their block watch there, or they've been around for so long. And I've only been in the position for 2.5 years, and it was vacant for 2.5 years. So a lot of people, they have block watches, but none of that information transferred over, as I didn't have like a handoff in my position. We came and we started, and it was like, we found this list and it was like 800 long, and we emailed all of them and got like maybe 20 people responding. So like they could be active, they could not be active. It never hurts to check. Yep. Yeah.
So when the car was stolen the first time, they're like, and they got it back 2 weeks later. The cop was really nice and they told me all the things to do for next time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering how to get that preventative information out to the group, because the next time my car got stolen, it got returned to me in 2 hours and both people got arrested. So
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, this is a really good list, and I would love to get that out to the group, and that's kind of why I was like really hoping that we could kind of.
So I don't have I think it's because most situations aren't, if A happens, you can do B and everything will turn out. A lot of it has a lot of variables in place. If you already have those tools and you'd you just want to send me a quick email, I'm a wizard with the Canva. I can whip us a flyer and have that sent out to everybody. But although I drive a really old car and it's a Kia, so I'm like, every time I park it in a bad part of town, I'm expecting it to be stolen, but it still hasn't been. So I personally haven't gone through that, so I wouldn't have been able to have that experience. And the officers that we talked to, there's so many, and they're all going to have different things. But if you felt you got really good advice you'd like to share, feel free to send that my way, and I can disseminate that amongst the group. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the most important thing is knowing your license plate. I have my license plate memorized because we're a weird family that memorizes license plate. But that's because if you know the second you notice your car is stolen, you need to report it right away. And then also, if you ever find your stolen car, if you're like, oh, I found it and it's dumped, don't drive it home. Because if we run the plate and it comes back stolen, even though it's your car, we're still going to take you out at gunpoint because we don't know it's your car. And people will do that. And you're like, no. And they're like, no, it's fine. I'll just drive it home. I'm like, no, please don't. So just kind of wait for officers to clear the call because they have to clear it out of the system, because it's not just SPD. Any officer that state patrol, they're definitely not going to be on our radio to know oh, we had the caller call in and they found their stolen vehicle. But just knowing that information so it can be reported right away is important. Also, every once in a while, once a month, just make sure your license plate is the right one for your vehicle, as we're seeing that more and more where people are switching license plates because they'll steal a vehicle, switch license plate, and your plate isn't returning stolen, so it doesn't seem like it's a stolen vehicle. They'll get a general kind of same vehicle to switch it back and forth. They were doing that with tabs, but it's less prevalent now. But yeah, and then we don't recommend any kind of form of ID stored in vehicles. Vehicles just aren't a good place to store things just in general. We think of them as pretty safe places, but they're mostly made of glass. And it takes, 2 seconds to get through. So any kind of identifying information, passports or IDs, we don't recommend storing them. And then not even a bag of sweaty gym clothes or a bag of reusable bags. I know in the Pacific Northwest, we love our reusable bags, but I, as a criminal, might break your window and you're out $200 for me to realize, oh, wait, it's not that worth it because it's a bag of reusable bag. And I've seen reports where they literally stole $1.50 in quarters from the cup holder and they broke the guy's window and it cost him $200. So it's just not worth it to leave anything in your vehicle. Yes. We don't typically recommend that. Some people, to repeat that, he asked about leaving your car unlocked. As it's not, yes, if you have nothing to steal, they'll rifle through it and then they're fine. But then also you've kind of created the aura of this is acceptable behavior for your neighborhood. And while your car might be unlocked, your neighbors will not, and they'll make the effort to go through. It's just typically best to keep it locked, keep nothing in it, nothing in sight. If you have to store things in your car, in the trunk, out of sight, it's generally not good, because even if they don't take anything, they might steal your car, depending on the make and model. Especially if it's a Kia, they might definitely take your car. Kia or Hyundai, but yeah, but they're different schools of thought, all that. But we, as a police department, don't recommend leaving your doors unlocked. Yes, sir.
I read somewhere that there was a program similar to the night out for closing your street for Halloween. Is that something real?
That's not something we.
Process for that for Halloween?
I don't believe so. It's not something I'm familiar with in the city of Seattle. While there are Halloween parties, typically you have to apply for the regular party permit. And that's through a different department, so I'm not quite clear on that process. They might have an expedited process because it is on Halloween, but it's not something that we as a department have been told about. Typically they don't issue those giant permits of being here's here's a way for everyone to shut down their streets, because it's a lot of headache for emergency services, because we have to keep a big map of who's shut and when. And then we also have to remind people like, hey, your barriers need to be movable. So people like they'll park cars and then it kind of delays response. So we typically only do that once a year to be able to have those kind of blanket permits for the entire city. And it happens to be for night out. Wow, you guys are like my favorite crowd ever. This is awesome. Normally I'm like yelled at about, various things. I did also want to mention we do have online crime maps that you can kind of go and see what's going on in your neighborhood. The ones that are public facing are you can see what's happened and been reported in the last 7 days and 24 hours. And I do want to hit on the word reported. So if you know of a crime that happened and it's not showing up on the dashboard, it means it was not reported to us. So there's a lot of big issue with underreporting in the city of Seattle. So lots of things happen. But if 100 crimes happen and we're told about 20, and the eyes of the police, the 20 is our 100%. So we want to make sure that we're getting a good view of what's happening in the area. Do take those crime maps with a grain of salt. Don't be overly paranoid. I wouldn't check them every day. It's best to kind of maybe check in like once a month of being like, what's going on in the neighborhood? But they are good resources if you're ever curious. Yes, I see your question. No, actually. So you can report crimes in the city of Seattle up to a year after the fact. But if it happened, we have rapes that are like reported 25 years later. We have burglaries that are like, oh, I didn't even realize. And I didn't live in the state for 5 years and I came back and the place has been ransacked. Absolutely. We want to know. Yeah. And that would be kind of where online reporting comes in. So if it happened, let's be honest, like say 2 months ago and you forgot to report it and you want to report it now, we're not catching the guy unless you actually have footage. But it's good to know because our data is constantly being updated. And I can't tell you how many meetings I'm in with the chief and the big brass, and they're like, wow, shoplifting's gone down and crime has gone down and we're doing so great. And I'm like, no, you're not. And I get in trouble because they're like, Sarah, quit dampening our party. And I'm like, no one's reporting anything. And it's because it's so hard to report. So it is a big issue. It's something I'm constantly advocating for to make it easier to report. And they feel like reporting being a barrier to us learning about your crimes that are happening is just not a good system in general. But at this point, I'm a low man on the totem pole. So I will still keep yelling up to the mountain and telling them that we need better systems. But yeah, we always want to know what's going on and what has happened. So our data continues to be updated. As I said, I'm not joking when I say that's where we determine how to put resources in. I've had gone in neighborhoods and they'll be like, oh my God, crime is rampant. We're getting broken into every day. This is crazy. And I look at our crime dashboard and it looks like there's 2 reports in the last 6 months. And if I go to my captain and I go, hey, I need an extra emphasis in this area, and she looks and she sees 2 reports, she's gonna be like, Sarah, get the heck out of my office. Like, no, we're not doing that. So I need the data to be able to advocate for you, and then it advocates for you all the way up to the top. I cannot stress how data-driven we are. It sometimes drives me crazy because then I'm like, come to a meeting, hear it from the mouths of babes. But most of the times the big brass aren't coming in these meetings, and the way that they get their information is through the data, so it works their way up to them. Can I say data one more time, guys? Yes.
I think my mindset has always been, it's not that important. So, we had some which is really odd to go. And I said something after a block and they knew, but I didn't report it. But they also showed up with another neighbor. It's stuff like that.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And her comment was, it's a good point because she had somebody come up to the back of her door and she didn't report it, but she reported it to her neighbors. You never know if your one call is a puzzle piece to a much bigger call. An example of this is we have been plagued with juvenile crime recently in the city of Seattle. We recently just did a big bust. We arrested 2 people that were responsible for 80 robberies in the last couple months. 2 juveniles, 80 robberies between the 2 of them. We arrested them. They're in jail. They're going through the court process. But A similar vein is we had an officer here in the Northeast see a car and he went, that car looks a little weird. He ran the plate, came back stolen. It was occupied with 5 juveniles. We didn't pursue because we have a no pursuit law, but we followed strategically. And we happened to be going the same direction. And we kind of followed them around and eventually they spotted us and they said they were being followed and they took off. And that's when we were like, okay, they're a danger to the public. We have now authorized to pursue. They're going every which way. They were cutting people off. They were slamming into vehicles as they were making turns. It was getting pretty messy. And then they try to run a red light and they T-bone somebody and the car crashes. 3 people in the car stay in the car. 1 kid goes that way. 1 kid goes that way. And we're like, okay, we have probably, 20 officers on this call. Like, we're everywhere, but we can't find these 2 kids. And then we get this neighbor calling over here and he was like, hey, some kid just like dived into my bushes. This is super weird. I don't know what's going on, but like, could an officer come and get this like ruffian out of here? And we were like, aha, it's the kid. So we got that guy. Similar thing, guy opposite side, like 4 blocks away, was like, there's some random dude that's like hiding behind my trash cans in my house. Can an officer respond? So to them, they had no idea that these guys had just committed a robbery. They were in a stolen vehicle. They just T-boned somebody. They were running away from hit and run. No idea. They just saw a suspicious dude in their yard and they decided to call it in. And it ended up being that we got all 5 of them and we were able to arrest them because of those little puzzle pieces. So you never know if your call is going to be that one thing that breaks the case, but also if that's the one thing that we can add to the person to bring it to a felony level. So right now, a lot of misdemeanor crimes, we can arrest them, but we can't book them into King County Jail. King County Jail is a separate entity, and it takes a lot for us to book because it's run. That's a whole other thing. But it's very difficult to book people on lower level crimes. But larger level crimes, they have to take them. So one example of this is we had a guy come in to, it was off Aurora grocery store. Every day for a year, stole a $4 burrito. Why the burrito was $4, that I think that's criminal in itself. But $4 burrito every day for a year. Every day for a year, that store called us. And it took a whole year of documented reports of this guy's theft on camera and their commitment to push it over the felony level. And he was eventually arrested at a felony. And so it took that long for us to be able to have that. And so any normal person is going to be like, it's a $4 burrito. Like, let's just let it go. Like, it's not worth the effort. But that grocery store was like, no, we are going to make sure that this is documented and this is an issue. And it takes a lot of effort, unfortunately, on the public to be able to do that. But in the long run, it has a huge impact. Think of your 911 call as it's not going to fix anything right now. You may not get a response right now. Although if you have a life-threatening emergency, we're there within 7 minutes or less, just saying. Think of it as I am playing the long run. I am helping out in the long run. I'm creating a data point that allows us to advocate for more resources, more officers, more money, because we broke. Guys, it's not pretty. You're playing the long game. Seattle didn't get this way overnight. It's not going to fix itself overnight. It takes a long time. We're government. It takes a long time for us to do anything. But especially if we're trying to come out of this hole and make the city safe again. Yes, in comparison to other large cities, we are relatively low on violent crime, but we still want to have that aura of safety. And I feel like we've lost some of that in recent years. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. Any more questions before I have to head out? Oh, I'm given the time and wrapping up. My card's over there. I do have to run back to my precinct as I am no longer being paid. But please email me. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I'm happy just to chat offline if maybe you weren't comfortable answering your questions here. Or if you just want to be like, hey, Sarah, I got a question. You're not sure how to deal with it. It's me. Okay.
Thank you. All right. And as she mentioned, there's a lot of resources that she's left over there, so you can come and grab those at the end. If you have your surveys, if you could pass them into the middle, we'll have Rebecca come grab them from you in just a second. We have about 10 minutes left, and we have most of our board here tonight. And so we wanted to give you an opportunity to talk to us, hear what we're doing, hear from you all about what you guys want to see done as well. So we have Dakota over here. If you'd like to raise your hand. If you want to learn more about what we're doing with the One Seattle plan, you can go spend a little time with him. We have Stefan in the back here. Thank you. Anything around the Halloween parade, anything around summer social, that's your guy. We have a wonderful volunteer from one of our committees, Lori here. She is in charge of designing the newsletter that you guys will get. So if you have questions about how that happens or want to get involved, she's right here. Thank you, Lori. Yes, you can.
We don't mail them because we don't have everybody's address. We don't email them for the same reason. And it just means a lot for people to get the actual physical newsletter on their doorstep. It's really fun, super easy. You need a lot of nice people. I have yet to have, I've delivered a lot of these myself. No one has ever said a crossword. They're always like, oh, great, thank you, or sure, yeah, please put it on the front porch, or whatever. We could really, really use some more people. Even if you just took one route, it would probably take you half an hour.
Yeah, I just did. Yeah. I just did 2 routes. They took me about 20 minutes each. Yeah. And I do about 8 routes a season. So, yeah.
Are you allowed to put them in mail slots? Or we're not. No. So that's the hardest part is finding places to put them. I can just drop them on the front porch if they have a map. Sometimes they do. So the part of it is out so they can see it. That's all you have to do.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when your leaflet pack is delivered to your home, it will have instructions and all of the information that is acceptable. So I always refer to that.
Yeah. If you have any more questions, Lori will be right here. But I wanted to cut just 2 more people. People responsible for tonight, outreach is over here. So if you're interested in doing more of this, we have Amanda here, our most recent board member and treasurer. If you're interested in just what is a board member, what are we doing here, why are we doing this, she's your person. And then we have Rylan up here, our secretary, filling in for our communications, who is sick tonight and can't join us. So we'll give you guys a few minutes to go ask some questions, and then we'll just adjourn for the night. Yeah.
I just have kind of a random
Yeah, I
thing
can-
that I wanted to ask.
Yeah, I can ask.
Has anybody ever heard of the Maple Leaf Neighborhood Consortium?
I have not.
Yes.
You have. Oh,
I've gotten a letter from that, I brought it with me.
okay.
Sure.
My neighbors have gotten really weird letters from them too.
Okay.
We're trying to figure out, is there such a thing? Or did
It's a little
someone?
creepy.
I don't know.
They get mailed to anonymously to people's homes. I have one on my phone. It's
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
threatening, like, to report them.
No.
Regularly, people will fall and have contusions, and it's.
No, I've not heard of that, but we can definitely
Is it
look into it.
clustered area?
I don't know. We're all together. Where do you live?
We're 17.
That's a neighbor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. If you have it, if you pass those in, thank you. We'll go ahead and adjourn for the night. Thank you, everyone.